seems obvious in an abusive situation that the person that's abusing is to be held accountable, but are there ever other parties or other people that should also be held accountable?
The abuser is making the choice to be abusive. The only other accountability would be to a criminal justice system that fails to follow laws to hold the abuser accountable. It's important to understand that the abuser is in control of his behavior at all times and is making the choice to be abusive.
He walked into the house, and I'm sitting on the couch, and he walks into the door, and he looks at me, and he just said, "You're gonna make me kill you."
If someone goes through like a reform program and they're released and they're rehabilitated and then they go out and abuse somebody again, should any of that accountability then fall on the system?
No, because again, the abuser is making that choice. Reform doesn't guarantee anything. It just is an attempt to change your behavior. But the abuser is always in control of his behavior. So that's where the accountability rests.
As an adult, you have a choice to change. You have a choice to change, and you can get help to change. That's your choice.
Is there ever a point when the woman is accountable at all because she's not doing anything to get herself out of the situation or fix the situation?
I don't think so, because the woman is making choices every day around staying safe. So she's the one that knows the abuser best. She knows what the ramifications of her behaviors are going to be. And so we as advocates who work with her take the lead from her. We don't know better than she does. She knows best. And she's making choices every day that she believes are in her best interests. And what can anyone else do except honor that?
Domestic violence is a form of oppression, so we need to be aware about it. I think everybody's accountable. It's not a family matter. It's an issue that affects everybody.
When I was first leaving my situation, I had people say, well, there must have been red flags. You must have seen this coming. There must have been something you did or didn't. And I would just beat up myself and think, yes, why didn't I see this? Why didn't I do this? A couple years down the road, when I would get a response like that, I got angry. I didn't do anything. You just leave me alone, because at that point it was like, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And now I'm at the point where I understand why people say that. People want to feel safe. And if they can make it your fault, then they won't do or will do, and they'll be safe. So now if I'm asked that question, I will look at the person and I will smile and say, if it makes you feel safer to think that, you can go ahead. But it's wrong.
I still think that there's a certain, for lack of a better word, shame that victims feel for being victims. That they feel that at some level, oh, part of this has got to at least be my fault. If not all of it is my fault. If I hadn't provoked him in that way, if I had cooked his eggs right, this never would have happened. And so there's a process that the individual has to go through before they reach the conclusion that, wait a minute. This isn't my fault. This is his fault.
She was never good enough. She was never a good enough wife. She was never a good enough mother. She didn't provide enough financially or professionally for the family. And all of these awful things that he would say to her in front of me too.
Some kids come in here angry at mom. What are you doing? Not understanding the full picture. Moms might maybe protected them from some of the details of what's been going on, and so kids might not fully understand why they need to be here to be safe. If nothing else, they've come here and they walk out knowing it's not okay, it wasn't my fault, and I'm not the only one. So they come in here, they see that there's other kids here. That's a huge revelation for a lot of kids that, wow, that kind of stuff didn't just happen in my house. It happens in all kinds of houses.
What we want to do as prosecutors is make sure the abuser knows it's the state of Washington against you. It's not your spouse, it's not the victim of this abuse, it is the state of Washington coming down and saying this is not acceptable in our society. So if we can get that message out to the victims that we'll take the heat, we want to be the bad guys in this situation and confront the abusers and be the ones that are bringing criminal charges against them. You can step back and do what you need to do to keep you and your children safe. Let us take him on.
Probably the most shocking thing that happened after Lisa's murder was that her husband's mother actually tried to blame Lisa for what happened to her. All sorts of accusations were made, and this was just days after the whole thing happened. The most shocking part of it to me is that somebody could actually hold the victim accountable for their own murder.